Hello, my name is Josh Whitehead. I'm the district executive for Four Rivers District, Baltimore Area Council, Boy Scouts of America. I am here to do a very brief training on family Friends of Scouting presentation and how to do it. This is in lieu of doing the in-person training. If you are planning on being at that, that's great. Otherwise, this is an option for you. There will be more information. Basically, you'll just watch through this video, email me at the end. Myself and Glenn Zabel have our contact information on the last slide, saying that you've watched this video and that you are trained to do presentations for Friends of Scouting. So, first off, the theme for this year is around the world in 180 days. So that's to say that we want to be done with our Friends of Scouting campaign by June 30th. That is when we should be striving to hit goal. So around the world in 180 days. This year is a big year, 2019. There's a lot of world events going on in scouting, and so around the world in 180 days. So first of all, what makes you a good FOS presenter versus a great FOS presenter? The first thing is you have to be committed to scouting. You have to be passionate about scouting, and I know all of you are. That's the reason why all of us are here. Your ability to tell your scouting story to others, that's really up to you. Most of you have a story about why you're involved. Most of you have kids that are no longer in the program that you're still involved because you care. You're a positive representation of the council and scouting. I know that all of my volunteers in Four Rivers District are great representations of the council and scouting, so that one's covered. And then finally, you're financially invested in scouting through Friends of Scouting yourself. We can't ask others to invest in Friends of Scouting if the people who are presenting it aren't also invested in Friends of Scouting. So what is FOS supporting? Most of you know this already. FOS goes towards training and support, day camp, summer camp programs, all of these things on this slide. Things like obviously having a staff is super important. Being able to put out publications is a big deal. And then maintenance to Broad Creek. This is a big thing that got asked this past year that I don't think a lot of people knew off the top of their heads. So maybe taking notes on this page would be a wise decision for if that question comes up in your presentation. Next, the quality presentation, the pre-presentation. So there should be some work done before the presentation, and I am making a separate training video specifically for unit champions. One of the things we're trying to do this year is really hit hard the idea of unit champions. So what that means is each unit will have somebody that probably not the unit leader or the Cub Master, the Scout Master, or committee chair, but somebody else that's passionate enough about scouting and already invests in Friends of Scouting and that are a little underused in their unit, maybe somebody that is willing to put in the time to coordinate with the presenter, you. So one of the things that's important for pre-presentation is communicating with that person on presentation details, date, time, and location. Usually this takes place at a blue and gold banquet or a court of honor, not Pinewood Derby, just because there's so much other stuff going on. But those two events are very high attendance events. And so when we get up and present in front of as many people as possible, we're more likely to have positive outcome. So coordinating with that person, most of that's going to be done on my end, finding out the details of date and time and location. But it's important that you also reach out to the unit, because having a relationship with that person is going to also lead to positive outcome at the event itself. So make sure you reach out to them at least once. Arrange for pickup of presentation materials. That's something that Glenn Zabel, if you don't know him, he's our FOS chair. He is very good about getting stuff to the scout shop and getting stuff to presenters. Work with him. He will probably be the one coordinating that. Coordinate warm-up emails to unit families. We have the template for that. You guys are going to be sending those out this year. It didn't use super well last year, but I think it would be a useful thing to continue to use. it really warms up the unit to know A, that you're coming, and B, prepare for what the presentation will be, and give them a little bit of background about what Friends of Scouting is. And then practice is super important. Practice in front of a mirror, practice to a friend, practice to your spouse, whatever. But knowing your story and being able to say it passionately and effectively and in a timely manner. Next, the day of details. These are all just general things that I think would help you on the day of the presentation. So most of these things you should probably set up beforehand, but knowing them when you get there would save you a little bit of time. So where are you parking? Where are you on the agenda? Where can you set up? What time can you set up? Do you have scouts to collect cards? Because that's a huge thing. If they see their own kids out there in uniform picking up FOS cards and like distributing them, you're more likely to get people to participate because they're seeing scouts in action. The other thing is, do they have an FOS goal? Everybody does have an FOS goal. Every unit should have one. Based on what they gave last year, probably a 2 to 5% increase is what we're looking for. So all of those numbers should be in the pre-letter that you send out. And then the last thing on here is prime the MC to be the first person to give. So what that does is it allows for the rest of the unit to see this person, this unit champion, to, as somebody they respect, that they see this person give and say, okay, I think that this is okay. I see this person give, so it probably means that it's important and I should also give. Showtime. Thank the unit for inviting you. Always, always, always thank the unit. Put yourself in the audience at ease. Be straightforward. Say that you're there to raise money to support scouting right here in Central Maryland. Don't beat around the bush. There's no reason to. Everybody knows what you're there for. You sent out the pre-letters. Emphasize that you are a fellow volunteer. That's part of your scouting story. You know, it would be different for somebody that's a paid professional to go out and do these presentations, but you're a volunteer just like them, and you're out there raising money because you care in the same way that they do. Distribute pledge cards. You are somebody, I don't remember who it was, but told me that they went out and sat and waited for these people to fill out the pledge cards. Don't do that if you don't think you have time. These should not take more than 5 to 10 minutes. I highlighted this, put it in big bold letters because people don't like these presentations going long. So make sure you tell your personal story. If it's passionate, if you care, then they'll know and they will be more inclined to give. You can show the video, which we will attach, or deliver your own prepared remarks, but again, keep it short. Explain that the pledge cards are to be filled out right now. That's why the scouts are going to collect them. If they say, oh, I got to take this home and talk it over with my loved ones, you know, don't fight them on it, but you should have sent out pre-letters letting them know, bring your checkbooks, this is what's happening tonight, be prepared to give $185 or whatever is a legitimate gift for your family. Collect the cue cards, have the scouts collect them, and make sure that the MC gives their card first. And then again, thank everybody and prep for recognizing donors after you do a tally. Have this conversation with going over unit champion. That's just to say, unit champions don't want this to go long either, especially. Some helpful hints, go over this. Basically, wear your uniform, always wear your uniform. Keep the presentation short. Relax, have fun, tell your story. Do whatever you think is appropriate and suggest a giving level. 185 is the giving level, more or less. If everybody contributes, if every person, you'll notice it when we're going through the unit things beforehand, all of the unit goals, you'll notice that it's nowhere near 100% for most of these units. So encouraging every family to contribute in some way, preferably at 185, as long as we have 100% participation, we're in a good spot. Highlight recognition items. You can talk about them. We will have them come the first presentation. Encourage monthly and quarterly pledges. Those are an easy way to do it. We're still doing those for 2019. Don't say no for anyone just means don't assume that anybody's going to say no. There have been families with very little money that still want to contribute in some way. Don't take questions from the stage. Tell them that you'll be off to the side afterwards and they can come ask you questions. And then lastly, recognize all the unit leaders. That's super important. That's one of those things that we want to make sure we say thank you as many times as we can. So after the presentation, tallying the results in a secure private area of the facility. Go off to the side, count all of the cards, get an amount for the total given, and then they can present that back to the unit and say, here's how close you were to last year, or here's what you did versus last year. You were over last year. That's great. Distribute recognition items. You should have a few on you. And then stay after to help clean up and collect any last minute cards if you can. That's a great thing. This is also a great time to present the unit champion patch to whoever's being the unit champion. That's another opportunity there. All right, follow up. Notify your district family FOS team with results. You'll notice I also highlighted within 48 hours. No one wants to be the guy who misplaces someone's information. This is super important. In 2018, I was tracking down people days later, maybe up to a week later. That cannot happen. We have to have all that stuff within hand. There's personal information, there's cash. That stuff has to be turned in ASAP. Work with Unit Champion on follow-up emails and calls. There will be a post letter as well. Another thing that we didn't utilize so much last year, a post letter should be sent out following up. The Unit Champion will also be following up. That's an opportunity to not only thank everybody that gave, but make sure that anybody else that was not in attendance, that didn't have an opportunity to give, also have an opportunity to give. Lastly, send a short note to the unit's leadership and thank them for letting you come. This is just mine and Glenn's information. Feel free to reach out to me for questions. And again, when you have finished this video, please email me directly, Josh Whitehead, jwhitehead@baltimorebsa.org, and inform me that you have finished this training, and I will mark you as trained. Thanks so much. I appreciate your time.